We're going to chime in. Welcome, everyone. This is Recovery Dharma. My name is Julia. I'm one of the facilitators in this extraordinary community. And I'd like to share with you today a sentiment of metta, loving kindness. This is a painting that was sent to me by our wonderful Sangha member, Sean, who is just listening today. And he sent me all of these wonderful, it's got this thick paper that I really love. And he knows me well enough to know that whenever people send me art, I have a propensity to chop it up into these tiny little pieces. And then I write sentiments of metta, loving kindness on the back. But this one reads equanimity, which is one of the 4 limitless qualities that we cultivate in a Buddhist practice. This sentiment of metta is this. May I be fearless while afraid. May I be fearless while afraid. I wrote that sentiment because I needed it. And I needed that reminder. Because when I am afraid and when I'm anxious, fear stirs up so much doubt, so much insecurity. And when I'm in that place of doubt and insecurity, I feel like I'm wearing shoes that are the wrong size, really heavy, maybe even on backwards, on the wrong feet. I just can't seem to get my footing. And as a result of that, I tend to be inactive. I don't act on the things that I want and the things that I want to do. I put barricades down, I put hurdles down to inhibit my own growth. And I'll give you a real live example that happened just yesterday. I reached out to somebody with whom I'm just loosely acquainted about a very specific topic. And I just thought I'd throw out a couple of questions to him. He knows more than I, and I hit send. And about an hour later, I was flooded with all of this doubt and insecurity. God, Julia, I can't believe you said that. You are so naive. That was so stupid. You sounded like you were 12 years old in that message, not to mention the fact that you talked way too much in your message, blah, 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 on and on. Why did you do that? I was just like, oh my God, you're right. I need to go back to bed and I need to hide under the covers and I'll never come out again. And I'm not alone. I know you all know this. And if you don't know this, I actually don't believe you because I think it's so human. And we all experience this in some way because it's just so ordinary. It's so ordinary, it's almost boring. And so nevertheless, I had to sit with all of that story, all of that fear. And every now and then I had this wisdama energy, what I call wisdama energy. This is the wise woman energy. And she had this very shy voice that was just like, you were so scared and you're so doubtful and you did it anyway. Bravo you. You did it anyway. You put it out there. Good for you, Julia. This morning, I got a response from this person. Oh, sweating in all the cracks, just one eye opening to look like, I didn't know what he was going to say. Was it just going to be terrible, full of rejection? And then I saw an exclamation point and my name, Julia! Exclamation point. Great questions. Give me a couple of days to respond. Heart emoji. Now I feel all full of myself like a proud peacock. Look at me being so fearless. And that's the spectrum of this human experience. The point is, with equanimity, the capacity to allow everything we're experiencing to be witnessed, to be felt, to be explored, to be held, to be curious about, all of it. Equanimity is our capacity to be with all of it, exactly as it is, exactly as I am. And that includes being afraid and still acting with courage, fearlessness. And that's a very long preface for our practice today, which is to continue to explore the wisdom of Shantideva, an 8th century monk who actually is the living, breathing embodiment of this sentiment of loving kindness. Because this was a guy in the 8th century who was in the world's only college for Buddhism. He was with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of other men, some very advanced in their understanding of Buddhism, some novices, he somewhere in the middle. And he bucked the system because he was so devoted to understanding how the Buddhist practices lived in him that he didn't want to get distracted by the politics of the university, the politics of the student body, the politics of the social narrative. So he created and curated this very contemplative life while in school and while creating this roadmap as someone who could really understand the causes and conditions of his own misery enough to create avenues and pathways of healing. And he shared that. And we're still talking about it all these hundreds of years later. We've been exploring a chapter called Guarding the Mind. It's not called that. It's called Guarding Awareness. But what Shantideva was saying is guarding awareness is all about guarding the mind. Because without awareness, the mind is wild. It's feral. It's untamed. It can go off in all kinds of directions, and it can lead us to act in all kinds of ways. Imagine if I had acted on all of my doubt and all of my insecurity. One, I would never have sent that email and made that connection. Two, had I had all that doubt and insecurity after the fact, I might have acted on that, sent another email, apologizing, diminishing myself, making excuses, all of which would have been totally unnecessary. Just muddying the waters of this beautiful connection I'm cultivating. So we have to practice, we have to tame the mind, not in a punitive way, not in a controlling way, not with ropes and leather straps, whips and harsh words, but rather with a lot of space, a lot of openness, and a great deal of friendly curiosity. Which is why you hear that Juliaism. Wow, would you look at that? Look at all that doubt. Look at all that insecurity. It comes from various places. I don't need to explore that right now. I just need to recognize that I have a flood of negative feeling coming, arising. It's taking over. And I can either be governed by it and allow it in the driver's seat of my life, or I can create some space. I can open things up, and I can begin to tell my mind, whoa, whoa, Nellie, yikes. What's really going on here? Last week, I ended the session with a single question by Shantideva, which is, what is your mind doing? Let's put that into the first person. What is my mind thinking? And let's say I am the guardian of my own mind. No one else is going to guard my mind. No one else is going to tame my mind. I can endure all the punitive experiences I want, but at the end of the day, I am in charge of my change. So how do I want to take care of my mind? I don't want to whip my mind into shape. I don't want to go to battle with my mind. I don't want to go to war with my mind. I've done that. I've used weapons. I've used neglect. And none of it has been all that effective. So, I am going to do something very different, which is I'm going to nurture my mind. I'm going to encourage my mind. I'm going to be present enough to my own mind that I can see what's happening there, not with judgment, but with curiosity. And even with curiosity, I'm okay with a little judgment. Julia, whoa, that is some crazy ass batshit nuts so stuff going on up there. What you doing? What have you been watching? What have you been reading? What have you been listening to? How did that happen? Come back to your Buddha nature, Julia. Clear the pollution of that mind. How is my mind behaving? Because my mind is going to govern my actions. And I get to decide if my actions are going to lead toward goodness and virtue or toward negativity and non-virtue. And also neutrality. My actions may be neutral. I get to choose. That is empowering. So for a few moments of silence, let's practice this together. Let's come into the moment of the mind and just have a posture of inquiry. What is my mind thinking? And guess what? You do not have to believe everything you think. You can simply observe. Notice. Take a moment to bring your awareness to your breath as a way to anchor the body. The body is a foundation for this mindfulness practice. It is a companion, and it is a source of great strength and solidity, this body. And we are, all of us, healing our own bodies by paying attention to what we feed it, how much rest we offer the body, how much activity we offer the body. So even coming into this moment of precious calm is enormously restorative to the nervous system in the body. And then allow your thoughts to come and go. The mind may be racing. Maybe you're telling yourself a story. Maybe you're reliving a situation that happened, an encounter with another human being. Maybe you're having a memory of regret. Or maybe you're wondering about something that you're anticipating happening later. Whatever is going on, simply observe it. Allow it some presence. And if you notice a particularly difficult thought, one that's kind of sticky, clingy, you might have to spend a little bit more time there, but see if you can invite your own mind to create a little bit of distance so that you can just put the thoughts down, let them settle. It's almost like you're weeding out some thoughts a little bit and creating a little pile. Friends, one of the most common misconceptions about meditation is this. Meditation is present time awareness, not awareness of how we think things should be, but instead awareness of how things are. That's meditation. And so sometimes when we come into present time awareness of our own minds, we can be a little upended by just how active the mind is. It's racing, it's busy, it's charging, it's tromping, it's wild and a little bit scary. But remember, we do hard things all the time. We can be fearless even while afraid, standing before this very preoccupied mind. So you take a deep breath and you recognize busy mind, wild mind, and you breathe out an invitation for ease. That's it. That's all we're doing. And you can spend 30 minutes doing just that. And that's an enormous gift to yourself. And I invite you to notice that as you gift yourself this, the positive effects it has on others. Because this type of practice really does change our presence. The wild mind has a degree of ease to it, and that can change everything. It can change the tone of our voice when we're talking to a coworker or a family member who's struggling. It can change the amount of patience that we have for a whiny adolescent living in our home who doesn't want to eat the food we've just prepared. It can change our tolerance for news type pollution, and we don't get ourselves sucked in and we turn off the TV and go outside. It can change the way we feel creative and confident, all by being with the mind as it is and inviting a degree of ease. How is your mind? What is your mind doing? And what a precious thing it is to be able to observe our minds. Let's end with a dedication of merit. Friends, I'd like to bring forward in our dedication today all of our non-human friends. And there are millions and millions of them that we can dedicate the merit, the goodness of this practice. We have 2 new Sangha members that are in our lives because of Susan. So they're feathered friends, Opal and Pearl. We have many, many, many furry friends as part of our community. Oh my goodness, I could go on and on. There's Lulu and Leafy, I call him Leafy. There's Junebug and Amo. There's Missy and Cosmo. I mean, I could go on and on. All of our friends. If any of you are weird and you have snakes, that's just not a pet that I would have. But some of you love your snakes. I like them outside in the fields. Some of you have gerbils and rats and mice, and some people like insects and ants. All these living beings. Let us not forget the trees, the grass. So many life forms in nature that will benefit from the goodness of this practice. Why? Because as we practice, we cultivate a spirit of noticing. And when we notice, it evokes a spirit of caring. And when we care, we become instruments of peace. And as instruments of peace, we change the world. We dispel the misery of the world. We were all created for this, and we begin with ourselves, and by extension, it goes out and affects life itself. We dedicate this practice to life itself and to each of us in it. Thank you for your practice today, friends. We'll see you next time. Namaste.